Alright, MrSotko here, and welcome back to another Starcraft 2 replay cast. Today it is a 1 vs 1 on Ruins of Endion between our green Protoss player puCK, and on the right side of the map we have our blue Zerg player Cham. We're going to speed this up to the 8x mark, to the 2-minute point of the game. Everything starts to get good, and again it is Ruins of Endion, so the map straight across from each other. A cross-spawn situation where you can make the map much smaller by taking out rocks, or making the map much larger by destroying rocks. A very interesting map indeed. I do enjoy this map. Just about that 2-minute point, and we got to bring around the rosy situation here. And put the pylon down to prevent the second hatchery, if that was the case. But there is already a hatchery there at the natural, and the chase is on the drone going on back. But gonna discover a pylon in the place of where it wants to put a hatchery. And it does cancel that, but it's just going to continue to move around and harass this drone for a little while here. And drone doesn't really want to play right now. There he goes. Now he's getting a little bit annoyed. And Overlord here spying away on the Protoss base, making some adepts there. And I accidentally hit the P button there. And I suppose that does happen from time to time. I meant production. And not to pause the game. That is never good. And then my game just sort of alt-tabbed for some weird, strange reason. But who knows? But some very interesting action going on here. Making a gateway now to prevent that hatchery doing anything he can to make sure that that hatchery does not come up. Now cancels that gateway, and this adept here is doing work on these zerglings so far. 3 kills on that adept. Check out the base a little bit there, and spawns in. Gonna get another zergling kill perhaps, but gonna get himself hurt a little bit. No mortal damage just yet on that adept. Now in the main base there, but decides against that transfer, which is probably the wise choice. And now the drone going up and gonna make that hatchery finally, but I think that is way later than he wanted that hatchery to be. And now the adept's not gonna make it out of there, gets swarmed by zerglings, and the Overlord still just free reign over the Protoss base, checking everything out. But the probe is now on the way, the sentry is now on the way with the tickle cannons, and we'll try to tickle this Overlord to death here, which is a thing. And now the pylon gonna get overcharged and wreaks havoc on those zerglings a little bit there. Overlord nearly destroyed by these sentries, and I'm sure they're proud of their work. Took 2 of them to do it, but they sure did the job. And second hatchery nearly up and about for the Zerg, the second expansion that is. And now just going to be skirmishing about in front of the base for a little while here. Going to be making a warp prism, possibly some drop play here shortly. So we'll see what he decides to do with that. Now the gateways are up and running, and the true production is on the way. Or the Protoss second expansion is on the way as well. These Zerglings could get themselves a free Nexus damage right about now, and wouldn't be too much they could do about it. Over there with sentries and force field the area, close it on in, but that wouldn't do all that much. And drone gonna get caught out in the open there, and forces the cancellation on a pylon as well. And Spore Crawler up at the base, Spore Crawler up at the other base, waiting for the drops. No Spore Crawler at the expansion though. And now we have quad tickle cannons going after the zerglings. And those sentries are very upset that their probe was destroyed earlier. The sentry observer above the area there, sort of a sentry in a way, but not quite the same sentry. And that's being launched, lobbed into the base there by the warp prism, but didn't really do all that much. Looks like it got just 1 drone. And now a Nidus network is being created here, and now coming up inside the main base here, and I don't think he sees this, and here we go, Nidus Worm. Don't see this every day, and what a treat to see the Nidus Worm. And now the Protoss running for their lives here, and a huge wave of Zerg incoming through this Nidus network and doing big damage to the inside of the Protoss base now. And the Simulator will fall here. Nexus will fall as well, perhaps overcharging that pylon. Pylon not going to last very long, though, unfortunately. And it does take out quite a few Zerglings before it goes down, but the Protoss main base is now in shambles and now being creeped. And a creep being laid down inside the base to prevent it from actually being retaken in any timely manner. And Protoss now has himself wedged in his own natural base here against the Zerg. And with a free entrance way here from the Zerg. So this is not going to be too easy here. We do have a drop over here with some adepts. And they did some possible damage there. Don't see too much chaos going on there. I don't think there was all that much there to begin with. But could do some damage to the hatchery, but it would take quite a while with just a few adepts. And now just waiting patiently inside the Protoss base. The Protoss base now almost thoroughly covered in creep. And a very nice force field there. Catches a few of those roaches on the wrong side of the force field. Just some good damage to him for now. And still going back and forth with this Warp Prism here, just trying to get some of these drones as they appear at the natural. Or not the natural, but rather the expansion. Picks him up, runs away for now. Too many Zerglings to handle with those adepts. And a huge bio drop there. It's a good number of those units, does some decent damage. No more units coming in through the Nidus network just yet. Could use that for sure. A nice wave of Zerglings running past the force field very quickly before he gets a chance to do that. Would do a nice amount of damage. Could get that pylon as well. One more bile drop there, and that pylon is done and destroyed. And now even unpowers one of the warp gates. And so the Protoss not looking too good here. We'll see how he has to, if he can overcome this interesting makeup here. The base trade that is not quite a base trade, but lost his whole main there to a Nidus network, which is something you don't see all the time. Now going to run back through the Nidus work, just going to go on home, and doesn't have an observer here to take out all of these tumors. It's not a tumor, and I'm going to be taking out all the tumors there, and the creep will recede eventually, but it's going to take quite a while. It's quite a lot of creep there, and we'll see if he decides to actually make a new Nexus here. And it is definitely worth it in terms of resources, but especially in terms of gas as well. Not that it would last all that much longer, but it's definitely efficient in terms of the amount of resources that are there. But he does have a third one going strong up top here. Going to be making a bunch of photon cannons and holding that best he can. And now some Mutalisks are out on the field, flying around here. Disruptor going to get caught out of position, but these Stalkers teleport on top there, blinking right under those Mutalisks. And Mutalisk going to see the expansion up top here, or not. No, going to go around the side here and go after the second expansion instead of the third one. Third one's going to have triple photon cannons, though. Not going to be able to do too much up there either once he sees this. And too many photon cannons for these to deal with. And can deal with those photons one at a time, but certainly going to lose some mutas doing it. And by the time he takes one out, these reinforcements are going to be all up there. And there are a couple of pylons as well to warp in with. And Zerg can take this time to make another expansion, although now the Protoss is on the way here to the Zerg. And another hatchery here coming up. Didn't spot that one just for a second there. Protoss coming on in, and no observer with him. There is the observer, good old observer flying on in, and catching all kinds of radio stations while it's flying in the air. Zerg-free radio playing on the observer all day long, and these creep tumors falling very quickly here with the observer. And a Dark Templar is in the mix as well, cruising around. And the hatchery nearly complete there, but the Dark Templar could whack away at that for a little while. Base trade going on here. Mutalisk now blasting away at the Protoss base, trying to go after all of the pylons, but there's so many pylons here. And now a couple of Phoenix and a few Photon Cannons are going to do work on these Mutalisks. And the Mutalisk going to take out the Photon Cannons, no problem here, but there still are a few of them. No, actually, they're actually gone up there. They've been taken out previously. And the back at the Zerg base here. Zerg base falling very, very quickly to the Protoss. Protoss base trade going much better for the Protoss than the Zerg. Zerg only has Mutalisks, which do not do that much damage, really. And now 3 Phoenix are out as well. Could take out another Mutalisk or 2 if he's careful with them. And an Archon as well. And those Mutalisks really got to watch out for that Archon there. To get too clumped up and get hit by that AoE. Going to be doing huge damage. And definitely doing all he can to avoid that Archon. And now the Stalkers there blink on top. The Zerg base is irreparably damaged at the moment. And all the Mutalisk waiting up top now and wondering what he's going to be able to do. The Protoss is crippled, but has all of his Nexuses alive, except for, of course, that main base. And because of that, he's able to produce probes very, very quickly now. Some of the probes going up top there at the fresh expansion, but they could just as easily be mining there. Not sure if that is an intended thing. It may have been from previous when he was saturating that second one there. Or rather the third one. Counting apparently is hard today. And Mutalisk on the way to the expansion, but quite a bit of Stalkers here to defend this. Don't know if it's going to be enough Stalkers for all of those Mutalisks. But again, a couple Photon Cannons coming up here. And now the Protoss pushing on in. Has some hallucinated Archons in the mix of everything. And triple Spine Crawlers to try and stop the Zerg, but not going to be enough for biological damage from the Archon. A little bit too much for the Zerg there. A very interesting game at that Nidus network. It worked out very, very well, but really just didn't commit to it. And I think if you would have taken a big wave of Zerglings as soon as those force fields popped, a big wave of Zerglings should have been able to make it their way through there before he would be able to react again, possibly distract him up here while you push a big wave of Zerglings right through there, and could have done a lot of damage to this base here a lot earlier on. But hindsight is 20/20. And Mutalisks weren't going to be enough to really do enough damage up here. Multiple Stalkers, a couple Photons, and the Phoenixes. But I hope you guys enjoyed this replay, and I will see you guys next time.